Stinished It is recorded on the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any First Nations people listening.
We acknowledge the long history of storytelling undertaken on this land.
Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have asked for recognition in the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
We encourage you to listen to their important voices and to heed the simple, passionate plea for voice, treaty, truth when you vote in this year's referendum.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast that Jett and Reuben are doing. We're still tossing up names.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Is it back?
No, I don't think it's back.
No,
it's
this
probably
is
the first one. It's the first one.
Yeah.
Do we throw out the name suggestion or are we keeping that kind of under wraps?
The name suggestion for the podcast.
The name suggestion for the podcast.
Ah, I thought you meant the name suggestion for that bread that we bought today. They were like, oh, that's a weird bit of bread. We should make up a name for that weird bread.
Now, Jett did send me a text during the last week that said, I've been thinking about the podcast non-stop, and then a couple of texts later it said, I'm going to be more of a nuisance. So I think that's already begun, everyone. Yeah. I think that's already begun.
I actually didn't say that, and you're making up lies.
I feel like you're proving my point.
Look, maybe not.
This is real Catch-22.
Have you read Catch-22
I've not read Catch-22.
I've read...
You actually finished it.
I've read Catch-22.
Okay, so was that a Catch-22?
I forgot what you said.
Yeah, me too. That's fine.
It's a good book, though.
Is it?
I recommend it.
I've got it upstairs right now.
Why don't you read it?
Yeah. Good question. Reading other things. I'm reading other things. Same reason I can't read the 2,000-page Harry Potter fanfic, you know?
Oh, the 2,000-page Harry Potter fanfic is great, though.
Yeah,
you should read it.
That's what everyone who's read
it
Or
you should read Catch-22. You should just read everything that I read just after I read it. Then I can talk to you about it.
What if I had to pick only one of those two?
Ooh.
What if you could only get me to read one of those two?
I feel like it would be the Harry Potter fanfic.
I feel like I knew you were going to say that. I was trying to add like a wrinkle. Like because Catch-22 is shorter, you could get me to read that and something else.
Yeah. But the thing is, because the Harry Potter fanfic is so long, like I feel like that's...
Like if you only get one, you're going to pick a big
choose
one?
The 2,000 word page. 2,000 pages.
I don't know. I'm making up that number.
Know. It's also
very
like,
long.
I don't actually know how long it is because I read it on my tablet and that just gives me the page number. But for like I've adjusted the text size and all that. So
it could be one page.
It could be one page long. I just have it on 70,000 point font. That's what I do. I'm really bad at reading books, so I just need it really big. I can only process like a third of a letter at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just one page long.
It's just one page long.
So
Great.
the
anyway,
name,
a podcast intro.
The podcast name that is
go on. Tell us what you think.
Well, we should talk about what we're actually going to talk about.
Okay, let's pitch the podcast first.
Okay, pitch the podcast.
Okay, so this is a podcast where Jett and I get together for I don't know, 40 minutes or an hour, and we each bring 3 things.
3 things.
Is the plan? 3 things. One's short.
To a total of 6 things.
A total of 6 things, 3 each. 3 times 2 is 6.
Yep.
So we bring one thing that we finished, one thing that we've started, like that we're going through. So that could be something longer, like a book or an album or a TV show. And then something that we're looking forward to or that we're going to do.
Yeah.
Deliberately vague and broad.
All of it's deliberately vague and broad.
Oh, 100%.
I actually had an idea. I'm not doing this for the thing that I've started.
Okay.
I'm not doing it this week. I might do it next week. But because we have it deliberately vague and broad, I've recently downloaded a new web browser on my computer. And I was like, I could have that as the thing that I've started and just like gush about this new web browser for however long. But I thought that might be a bit mean to start out the first one.
Yeah. Also, we haven't told each other anything. So some of these pieces of media or experiences or whatever we decide, we both will have some knowledge of. Some of them will be just a browser that one of us downloaded and the other one has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be something that we both experience and it's... then we'll just...
like, oh my God, we watched a terrible movie last week. Let's talk about it.
We could both choose because we don't know what each other has chosen.
That's right.
We might have actually chosen the same thing and get to
fun.
talk about that.
I think that's less likely early on, and we'll get more likely as we go for a couple of
because
reasons.
finished it could be anything that we finished ever.
Literally anything.
I could say, oh, that puzzle that I finished when I was 4, like a 50-piece Incredibles puzzle.
Yes. And I
finished it.
I would make you use the full 10 minutes if that was the case.
Oh, no.
I'd be like, great joke, now go on.
Go on. Okay, well, the first piece has like a bit of red and a tiny bit of yellow down the bottom right corner. The second piece, I'm just doing it now. That's
right, go, let's go.
Now. The third piece.
Yeah.
So the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's things that we've started, things we've finished, and things that we're going to be maybe starting soon. So the title that we're sort of thinking about is Stinished It. Things that we've started, you might say, oh, I've started it. Or finished. Oh, I've finished it. What do you think, Reuben?
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting that you set it up in that way because you said, here are the 3 things we cover. And here's the name that only includes 2 of them.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel like that was a weakness in your argument, but I like the name.
What's the third one? Like, I feel like like things that are coming up, what should it be? Like, Stinished
going to do it.
Yeah. Still going to it.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, it becomes illegible.
The famous Scandinavian podcast, Stinished going to do it.
We are both Scandinavian.
Oh,
we both
100%.
speak
whatever language that was, which we both know.
Which we both know.
We both know.
But we're not going to say for the people who don't know it.
We don't want to embarrass them. Where were you going?
I thought it would be like we're making fun of them by being like, oh, you don't know this and you don't get to know it. You know?
Should have done that.
Yeah. Anyway, so the podcast is called Stinished It. For now, we might change it. We might think of something better.
That's right.
But Stinished It works pretty well.
I love it.
I like it. I like it as well.
It's
Every time I
on
think
me.
of it, it's like, it's warming on me. So because of that, I think we'll do things that we've started, which is for the people really, really keyed in. That's the step part of the title, and then go into the things that we've finished. Now for the people keyed in, that's the second part of the Stinished.
Bonus point if you got both.
Yeah. And then the it.
Yeah.
The it is
the things that we're going to do.
Coming next. So yeah,
sure,
then we'll talk about the things that we're going to do. Cool.
Right.
So who's going to start?
You're going to start.
I'm going to start.
You're going to start because I want to hear what you finished. No, what you've started.
Come on,
flipped around the order.
You're not one of the people who are keyed in.
Look, I'm not keyed in. I'm on 0
You're
points.
50% of this podcast and you're not keyed in.
Debatable. I think.
Oh, more or less.
I was going to say less, but then I thought more might be funny. But now I've overthought it.
What? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Why do you think you're less?
I was just thinking if you're about to talk a bunch about a thing that you've started.
Oh, you're going off the time that we've been recording so far.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like total airtime.
I just meant like in general. Like
great.
You're like this is the 50-50 sort of project.
Right.
But you're like, no, I feel a bit like
I feel less.
Oh no, Reuben.
That's an off-air discussion. We're going to save that for later.
That's a therapy discussion. I don't actually want to have that discussion with you. I know it involves me, but it's one of those like,
maybe best to
self. What's that word? Self-esteem.
Oh, great.
Yep. Yeah, it's a self-esteem issue.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for diagnosing that.
So, I don't know how to transition well from
just jump straight in. What have you got?
Someone else who doesn't have good self-esteem.
Very good. Very nice.
The main character.
And that's how you segue. It's
still
going.
So the thing that I've started recently, and by recently, well, okay, already I have like a little wrinkle in our start.
Asterisk.
It takes me ages to read books, right?
This is true.
So my started. If it's ever going to be a book, it's probably not going to be a book that I've started in the past week and instead going to be started in the past 8 months.
Now, what's interesting about this is that because of the structure of this, you may or may not choose to come back and talk about something when you finished it that you mentioned as a started. But if you do, you've now got a public, exactly time reference record of how long it took you to read a book.
Or I just waited until I'm almost done with it.
Or you wait until you're almost done with it.
And that's kind of the case with this one. I'm a bit further than 50% through.
Okay, so what are you 95% through? What book? What book are you one chapter away from finishing?
I'm not close to finishing any book currently. But this one, it's It's a Harry Potter fanfic that we're talking about earlier.
Great.
It's yeah.
So I really I spoiled you.
Yeah, you kind of spoiled it, but I like it. It was like sort of teased into what I was going to
very good. We did not plan that.
No. I mean, I do have it in the script right here.
I mean, I can't see that. Where's the script?
No, it's my script.
Oh, it's your script that you have.
You just have happened to have been going along word by word with the script that I've written for this.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just spent the last
really
hour writing out the script for this first episode. I think this is what Reuben will say. Yeah. I'm great at mind reading. I just
Honestly,
know you so well.
I'm so predictable.
I'm really pleased with that so far.
It's great.
It's going great. Don't fuck it up.
All right.
Okay.
Wait. Is this all in?
Yeah, this is all
in. Okay, good. I'm glad you got that stutter in the middle of the sentence.
Great.
Oh my god, it says it right here.
It says the exact thing. I actually just showed you my notes.
It's true. I didn't see a single thing.
The things that I've finished and coming
process
up.
a single thing.
So this Harry Potter fanfic, it's called All the Young Dudes. It's not about Harry Potter.
What?
Well, it's in the Harry Potter world. It's part of the wizarding world of Harry Potter. We do not support or endorse J.K. Rowling in any way, any of her views or about, well, we do. We've read the books and we're talking about it, so I guess that's support. But we don't support her views and values and all of that.
No,
I like to put that. She's terrible person.
Yeah.
But this fanfic is great. Yeah. So All the Young Dudes, it follows Remus or Ramus. How do you pronounce?
It was always Remus in my family.
It was always Remus. But I've pronounced it Ramus.
But it was also Hermione for a while until
Hermione.
So nothing we say can be taken for granted.
That's the worst I ever heard anyone say. I've heard people say Hermione. Yep. And they're like, I just said Hermione for a while. Yeah. And I was like, that's
possibly
weird.
It was that. I don't remember. We'd have to check
Hermione.
Yeah.
Like with the.
But possibly not. But it was bad.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Well, because of that, I'm not gonna say Remus. I'm gonna say Ramus.
Sure.
And then if anyone people disagree, I'm gonna say Ramus.
You better hope Hermione's not in this book, because
Hermione's not.
I will bring her up at every occasion if possible.
Okay, great. Yeah, she's not included.
It's a prequel, right? It's a prequel.
Yeah. It's set while Ramus is going through Hogwarts a bit before, and then his time in Hogwarts, which is 70s, 80s. 70s.
Sounds vaguely right.
I feel like it's 70s. There's a lot of 70s music. It's got
tell me.
Yeah.
How is there music in a book? Do you mean the title of the song is written in the book and you just imagine it?
The title of one of the songs is the title to the book.
Fantastic.
All the Young Dudes is a song by Hold On, Stalling for Time as I look.
Hold on, stalling for time.
Okay, it's by Mott.
Right.
No, you got to stop now. I've got.
I was so excited.
Yeah, no. That's a really good tune.
Honestly,
that could be our theme song.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, so it's called the song's called All the Young Dudes by Mott the Hoople. And that was, I think, co-written by David Bowie, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of David Bowie music in this book. So yeah, how is there music in the book? Basically, some of the chapters, they will have lines from songs that the characters will be listening to at that time. So it'll be like, I don't know, it'll be like lines from Metal Guru by T-Rex, and it'll be like the first 5 lines of the song. It'll be like, Metal Guru is playing in the background while we're chilling in the dorm room or whatever. It's much better written than that. But there is a lot of music in this book to the point where I have a playlist on my Spotify with all of the songs that are in the book so that I can listen to those songs as I'm reading it as they come up, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, is it all, well, it would be all Muggle music.
Yes.
Presumably, yes.
Well, so this book tweaks a couple of things from Ramus's story. I don't know what it originally is in Harry Potter, but in this book he is in a orphanage sort of like school where his mum and dad aren't in the picture. His dad has died. His dad was a person working for the ministry, maybe. He was like researching magical creatures and stuff, and pretty wary of werewolves. And his mother was a muggle, I think. and she's like not in the picture. Anyway, basically, his dad was killed by a werewolf. The werewolf bit him when he was a kid. And so he's been living in the Muggle world as a werewolf.
Right.
Growing up.
With knowledge of the Wizarding world?
Like, to be honest, I've been reading this for a long time. It's been a while. I can't really remember. But, so then he gets invited to go to Hogwarts. Dumbledore comes, says, "Hey, you're a werewolf, Remus. Come to Hogwarts." And he's like, all right, I guess. He's like not very. Something great about this book is it's in the real world. You get a bit of in Harry Potter. You get a bit of in the real world stuff at the end, like during the Deathly Hallows as they're running around London or whatever. Yes. This has a decent amount of in the real world stuff in Remus's earlier years while on the holidays of school.
Right. Yeah.
He's back at his Muggle school, the boarding school where he lives.
Okay.
Hanging out with either some like bad people that are in the school. He does a couple of crimes, like petty theft and stuff like that. He has a partner. Well, kind of a partner. He has someone that he like hooks up with who's during one of the summers. So there are like Muggle characters who are in a Muggle world who are separate to this Wizarding world you see Remus interact with. And it's really nice to have that sort of grounding for the Wizarding world and that kind of relation between the Wizarding world and the Muggle world. But so that's why there's a lot of Muggle music, is because he's part of that world. He loves these musicians. He likes David Bowie a lot. Spoiler alert, not really a spoiler, but this book, Remus is gay, which makes a lot of sense for the character, in my opinion. This is also the most popular Harry Potter fanfic there is. And it is kind of like a lot of fanfics, it's like a romance between people, which is not also a fanfic thing. It's a book thing. Like you have books that are like romance books or books where there's always a love interest. So Remus is gay in that, I keep saying Remus and I got to keep saying Remus or else I'm abiding by your weird Harry Potter pronunciation log.
This is fantastic. Yeah.
It's kind of like a slow burn between him and a relationship with Sirius Black. Great. Because this is all kind of centering around the Marauders. So that's Remus, Sirius, James, and Peter. The four of them.
Moony, Padfoot, Prongs, and the other one that comes at the start that I've forgotten.
Moony, which is... This is a quiz now.
Jett's pointing at me, everyone, for context. Jett is pointing at me.
The Marauders quiz. Who are the Marauders? Number one, we have Moony.
Okay.
It's not that difficult.
James.
God damn it. Think about it for like 2 seconds. Think about the
it's probably the werewolf. I think it's probably Remus.
Yep.
I love that you said that was correct, even though I said
Padfoot.
Yeah, that one's probably
Padfoot.
Okay, so there's the werewolf, the rat, Harry's dad, and I'm just going to make sure that I remember all four of them before.
I just realized I was really far away from the mic, and this is much better now.
Stalling for time. Stalling for time. Stalling for I don't remember. I don't remember anything about this weird universe. Great. That one would be James.
Yes.
Yay. That was not a guess. I knew that.
Yes. Okay, so now we have Sirius and Pettigrew left. We have...
yep.
So Padfoot?
Yep.
Out of the mouse can you give me the big dog.
Can you give me the fourth nickname? So that I can do the last two at once?
I've been stolen for time. Stolen for time. Stolen for time. Yeah, I can't remember.
It's something Moony, Padfoot, and Prongs, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Moony something?
You know what? I'm gonna stall for you. I'm gonna.
Oh, I have to stall for time now.
Stall for time while I Google it.
What we've got thus far is that Moony is Lupin.
Yes. Wormtail.
Well, Wormtail is Peter Pettigrew on account of the fact that he's a rat.
Yes.
And then I've only got one left to go, so I'm going to say I got 4 out of 4 because,
Padfoot
so Padfoot would be the dog. Yeah.
Why is
James Prongs?
He's got antlers. No, he doesn't. Yeah, he does.
His Patronus is a stag, maybe?
He becomes...
What?
Yeah.
No, James isn't an animagus, is he?
Yes, he is. All of them are.
I don't remember anything about Harry Potter is what I've learned today.
Wait, I'm just going to... James Potter, animagus, stag. Yeah, stag.
We're going to have some very angry listeners.
We are. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Mostly angry at you for saying
Mostly
Hermione.
angry at me. Well, yeah, but that's been hashed out long ago among the people who I feel like will criticize me for that.
Except for me.
If you're listening, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's following
great.
the Marauders mostly. Yeah. But it is sort of a slow burn between Remus and Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
I was going somewhere with saying that, but I can't.
You're talking about the structure of fanfics and romance in them.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's too different to like a regular book. Like a lot of fanfics are like romances, but I feel like a lot of books are romances, so I feel like it doesn't make a massive change. So there's I've written so many notes about this.
Yeah.
Because it is just so good. It's Harry Potter, but it's good.
But good. I've got a question.
Yes.
Because I'm aware this isn't necessarily the most fantastic podcast content because you haven't listed all the things you like about it.
Yes.
But I've heard a lot of the things you like about it over the last, checks notes, 8 months.
Well.
So what don't you like about it?
Ooh. I don't like that Peter Pettigrew is kind of sidelined.
Oh, so like Harry Potter.
Well, yeah. Because he is one of the 4 Marauders, so I was sort of interested. You do see bits of each of the Marauders and find out what makes them tick. It's such a long book that you really get attached to these characters. Peter Pettigrew is still kind of sidelined as anytime something happens that's like intense or anything, he's mostly just like chewing his nails in a corner, be like, no, I'm terrified.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's so I wanted a bit more to him because of the fact that he basically sells out the Potters and Voldemort kills the Potters and I wanted to like him more and feel more for that character. I've had that a bit. A lot of his stuff is like he's dating some people, he's pretty loyal to James, but he's always kind of just on the side. Yeah. And it seems like that's also the situation with the Marauders' friendship. Like he is just sort of like a side person who goes along. There's been something recently where Remus was going through a pretty serious incident where he was like going to the Forbidden Forest and there was like a monster thing there that he needed to meet and it was pretty scary. And Peter stuck with him like as a rat in his pocket and like stood by him and like it was like a nice sort of relationship thing in the middle of this really tense scene. So I don't know, there's a bit of it, but I wish there was a bit more.
Do you think that's why Peter Pettigrew becomes kind of disillusioned with that group later on?
Maybe. I never felt like he was disillusioned with the group, more that he just was easy to pay off. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's another thing I really like about it is that it's Harry Potter in, like I said before, it's like Harry Potter but it's grounded in the real world, and that means there is drinking and there is smoking and there is some drug use. Also, side tangent. One thing that's great about fan fictions is that, well, not all fan fiction, but a lot of them, they tell you what's gonna be in the story. Like there's content warnings. We have that for movies and stuff like that, but we don't really have that for books. This book also goes to the point where it will give you content warnings at the start of each chapter. It'll be like slight homophobic slur use. Oh, there's some drinking in this. Oh, there's some like marijuana use in this. Fantastic.
I would love to see that used more broadly.
It would be great to be used broadly.
And even there's such a lack of like trigger warnings right across the arts. I've been to dance shows and been quite confronted or even seen people like leave because of the content that's there without any warning or guidance about it. And it's like, I wish we could take that lesson from fanfics and use it all over the place.
It's so good to have. it was a bit jarring at first. I'm like, oh, well, now it's telling me what's going to be in
right,
this.
Right.
But it really, like, it doesn't tell you the context that it's going to be, and you don't know when it's coming. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, at the end of the chapter, there's this sort of
Yeah, that was my only other question, whether it could feel like it was like harming your experience of the narrative at all.
I don't think, on a grand scale, it has not. If the writing's good enough, it's not going to... Yeah. It's really good to have. So yeah, there is that stuff in it, and it just adds more like reality to these characters because they are teenagers growing up, regardless of being in the wizarding world or not. They are teenagers who are discovering themselves and coping with the world. They're also coping with a war happening or starting. So as I'm currently in their last year at Hogwarts, and during this time, that is when the big Voldemort war starts happening.
Yeah.
Where the Death Eaters start attacking, and that whole war starts.
Yeah.
That's a tough time for anyone. Like war. So having them, cope through things in ways that humans cope through things, wizards or not, it's really good, and adds like, I don't know, it feels like a like young, not young adult, maybe a bit older than young adult, sort of like novel. If I was to categorize it in a sort of age group that you do categorize it in, I feel like it's pretty young adult with like its sexual references isn't too intense. Yeah. Nothing's like ever too intense. So maybe it is young adult. I don't know. It's good. Yeah. 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 There was one more thing that I wanted to mention about it.
We've got time. All of our time limits are totally arbitrary. Hit me with it.
Okay. One of my favorite things about this book, there are so many favorite things, but I'm just thinking more and more things. There's a really interesting sibling dynamic between Sirius Black and Regulus Black.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember in the Deathly Hallows books, Regulus plays a pretty key role. You don't ever really see him, I don't think, but he is the person who was a Death Eater, the brother of Sirius, and he was the person who sort of worked out what was going on with Voldemort and the Horcruxes and how to destroy Voldemort. Yeah. He's like the RAB at the that they're like hunting for. I think it is in Deathly Hallows, or maybe it's the Half-Blood Prince. I think it's Half-Blood Prince. Yeah. So this is it's been really interesting seeing from the start of Sirius's journey through Hogwarts from being 11 and his brother following up close behind him, how they sort of split from being pretty close brothers, and there's clearly a lot of love there, to having this sort of distance kind of forced upon them because of the Black household. Yeah. Like because of their name, and they are a pure blood family that has strong, like pure blood values of no muggles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And with Voldemort coming up, they are very much like, okay, we're going to go this extreme route of like going with Voldemort
and a lot of them do. Regulus isn't the only Black to do that.
No, they basically all do, but Sirius essentially. Yeah. So Sirius has always been pretty rebellious, like trying to upset his family, like that. He's that kind of like rebellious teen, but kind of that good rebellious teen where it's clear that his family's bad and he just wants to rebel to annoy them. Yes. There's this funny bit where he puts up over one of the holidays, he gets a bunch of like muggle posters, like teen muggle posters, like teen posters in the classic 70s, 80s, 90s way of basically naked women. Yeah. And he puts those up in his room and like charms them so they are like irremovable. You cannot remove them. Just to upset like his family and his mother because they are muggles. So like that's the core thing. Right. So that's kind of really funny. That's a great moment. But yeah, so you see Regulus as he sort of, because he wants the approval of his family, he goes that route of, becoming a Death Eater in the end. So I don't know, it's a really cool bit, and like Sirius, as he detaches from his family, it is because there is a lot of abuse in his family, and they're not really afraid to talk about that in the book. It's pretty clear. It's not explicit in the way that you are part of the scenes, but as you learn about what's happened, like you learn about it due to like accounts of it happening, like people talking about the abuse that happens within that family. So I think that's a good way of doing it instead of putting you in the actual room with it. But it's also sort of revealed in a way that it would be in real life where people sort of slowly unravel their trauma. There's a lot of trauma in this book. It's real characters. It's real characters with real backstories and real reasons for their love, for their fears, for their hatreds. It's just so good. It's one of the best things I've read. And it's crazy to say, oh yeah, this Harry Potter fiction is like one of the best things I've read, but it is.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about this now because I've been rambling on about this.
It's great.
For so long.
You light up when you talk about this book.
Yeah.
In a really interesting way.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It was good.
Great.
Got to read it. Read it before you read Catch-22. You're reading both.
Hang on a minute. I never agreed to that.
Yeah. I think we agreed.
No, we've literally got a tape.
Hands.
We can literally check the tape.
Okay. I think we should go on to you. What's the thing that you've recently or not recently started?
Yeah, something that I have somewhat recently started. So I've got a TV show to bring. It's called Poker Face.
Okay.
It's
I've heard of this.
I guess
Rian Johnson?
Okay. Yeah, it's more of a mystery than anything, but of course it's got that kind of that comedy and some of that satirical aspects that are in the Knives Out films as well. So it's I think it's 8 or 10 episodes. It's on Stan. Rian Johnson wrote it, executive produced it, and directed some of it. And it's fantastic. Yeah, so it stars Natasha Lyonne, who was from Russian Doll.
And also Orange is the New Black.
And Orange is the New Black. Now, I have no idea who she plays in Orange is the New Black and whether it's the same character a third time.
Oh, it's basically the same character a third time.
Fantastic. I love that character so much.
It's great,
so much.
It's so good.
The only twist, I guess, that or the biggest kind of wrinkle that Poker Face introduces is that she can tell when someone is lying.
Oh.
And in the same way that Marta's inability to lie in Knives Out is just kind of a part of the world that you suspend your disbelief about, this is something that you just kind of accept very quickly as a rule of the world.
Right.
And this is so interesting to me as part of Rian Johnson's kind of filmography, because if you're familiar with the Knives Out films, both of them have a fairly significant switch around the midpoint and almost in the middle of the running time of those films, where you find out not necessarily who done it, but often who done it. And then it's about why they done it and who going to catch them because they done it.
Yeah.
And I think that Rian Johnson has always been more interested in that than in the kind of who was it elements, even though the setups are great. And this is that taken to the extreme.
Right. How so?
I'm 3 episodes in, and most of them start with like the murder. Or the aftermath of the murder, or the lead up to the murder and the murder.
Is each episode like its own?
Yeah, each episode is pretty self-contained. What is Natasha Lyonne's character? Is she like a detective or something?
No,
she's just a
regular person who
just a regular person.
Often.
Yeah, that's right. So
genuinely just a regular person.
Genuinely just a regular person who
murders.
Yeah, I mean the first episode sets up kind of where she's come from and a reason for her to need to be on the move.
Right.
Because of an impending kind of threat. She can't stay still for too long.
Sure, yeah.
As you can imagine, having an ability like that makes you enemies fairly quickly.
Right, okay, yeah.
And so she is literally driving around and she comes across a new town, usually in a new state every episode, and a new community, and each one has this kind of unique rhythm, and I think it helps that some of the episodes are directed by different directors. It's really interesting. So you normally, as the audience, know who has done the murder.
Right.
So then that kind of...
But Natasha Lyonne's character doesn't know.
Does not know who's done the murder. So there's this dramatic irony in, I think I'm using the correct use of that term where the audience knows something that the characters don't. You might think, so it's a mystery where the audience knows the answer at the start. Why is it interesting? It's just fascinating. Every single conversation that Natasha Lyonne's character Charlie has with, especially with the murderer, but with any character, is loaded with all of this weight, because when you actually think about what it means to lie, you can get very close to lying and still be technically telling the truth. So she might say, but did he go up onto the roof with you? And the murderer might say, well, I was up on the roof by myself at 6 o'clock, which can be true, but not the full answer. And you also see people trying to kind of weasel their way out of a question with a non sequitur, like, so what was your relationship with her like? And they say, well, back in the day, or what are you doing here? Or why should I tell you? And she has no authority. She has no badge. She's always new into the community, so no one trusts or respects her. It's a fascinating setup.
That's really good.
And the third episode of this show made me laugh more than any comedy has made me laugh in a long time.
Really?
There was just one or two really specific jokes and riffs that just had me cracking up.
Okay, great. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
That sounds really good.
I love it.
What's really interesting me about that is the murder at the start where you know who did it.
Yes.
Because it's interesting because instead of like a murder mystery where you don't know who did it and the enticing bit is sort of figuring out who did it, the enticing bit is now wondering when the character is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you know all of you know the answer. So you know it's like putting together a puzzle and using the picture as a reference. You know how it looks. So
that's right.
Every time the characters add more and more pieces to this puzzle, you get more and more excited because it's almost there.
That's right. There. But sometimes Charlie will do something, to use your metaphor, will pick up a piece of the puzzle and Natasha Lyonne's character, and we as an audience will go, oh my God, she's nearly there.
Yeah.
And then she'll miss something or put it away or go, I don't have enough information to use this yet. It's so good. I'm really so glad that it seems like I've managed to explain it in a way that communicates it. Because I was kind of worried that it would flatten like toothpaste kind of when I explained it. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds great. It also it gives you a bit of her ability as well, I feel. Because you know the answers.
Yes.
You can tell when people are lying. So her thing of, it's not in some things, you'll have an interrogation scene and someone will be asking questions. The other person will be giving answers. They'll be lying. And the person asking the questions will be like, no, that's a lie. I can tell you're lying. How can you tell they're lying? Like, you can't, what do you mean? Like, oh, your body, you were twitching or whatever.
Yes.
It's like, 100%. Okay, but I didn't pick that up. So I don't align with that character who's doing the interrogation. But now with this, because you know the answer, you know who the murderer was, you know sort of how it happened, you actually can tell with those people who are being interrogated or talked to what when they're lying. When they do a twitch, you can be like, oh, that twitch is I know that this is a lie, so this is an indicator that this person is lying because I can see that they're lying. I know that, and they're twitching, so I know when they're twitching, then they're lying. You already know that, but maybe that also might help you figure out more about that person.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to, it's sure you know who's done it and you know a bit about them, but you also learn more and more about the relationships between the characters as you go. And it doesn't mean that everything's predetermined. It could still be oh, this other person was in on it, or oh my God, what if they do another murder? Or what if they just threaten the main character with a gun? What's she gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
She could probably tell if they're bluffing, if they're I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
No, you're not. That's cool. But if they're gonna kill her, if they're not bluffing.
That's right.
Yeah. That sounds really good. So are all the episodes out? Or?
It's all out.
Oh, it's all out.
The first season's all out.
How many episodes?
I think it's 10, but it could be 8.
Okay.
But I think it's 10.
Stan?
Yes.
Stan.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to watch that now.
It's really good.
I really want to watch that. That's really good. And I was I know Ryan Johnson's doing it. Well, I heard Poker Face is a thing, then I heard Ryan Johnson's doing it. So, but I didn't connect that Poker Face was
same.
It's that power. That's really cool.
It's really great.
That's really, really cool.
It's really great.
Very nice. Excellent. Anything more you want to?
No, it doesn't have to be long. I've raved. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Perfect.
That's all. Yeah. Cool. So that's me.
Nice.
What have you finished?
What have I finished?
Okay.
I think you're gonna like this one because I think it might be something that you've also finished.
Okay.
The thing that I finished is the video game God of War Ragnarok.
Okay, great. I forgot that we finished this.
Okay.
Didn't even occur to me.
Really?
When you said you've
finished
also
it
finished
3
this,
days
I know
ago.
it was and feels like last night.
You played it yesterday.
I'm aware.
And you forgot that.
I had so many other things in my head that we've both finished. So I was like, I'm just gonna say this or this or this. Oh, God of War. Yeah, we also finished that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's your thing. So you shoot first.
Well, yeah.
And then I'll disagree.
I'll give some context. So it came out October, September.
I think it was actually November.
November last year. We bought it about like a week or so after it came out.
Correct.
It was the first game that we like share bought. We both split it. We're like, all right, we're excited for this because I played God of War way back in 2018 when it came out. Then I got you to play it.
Yes.
Over a very long period of
3
time.
3 years.
Yeah. And then this came out. We're like, well, we're both very interested. Let's get it. And then we didn't play it for like a month after buying it.
Easily.
And then we did play it. We started playing it.
Yep.
And then we stopped playing
again
it for like a month after playing it for the first time. And we've just sort of like chipped away at it over time. And then 3 days ago, we finished it. We were just we're like 90% through. Let's just clock it out. Let's finish it up.
I think we should say at the start, because I think it might have had a strong effect on our experience of the game. We swapped who was, playing the game, who was holding the controller, just like whenever. Like sometimes when we like failed, when we died, but also just sometimes whenever.
Yeah. It was
so
like,
I just think that's important context.
It's like, I've played for a while, you can play, or like,
we've got to go to bed. Can I ever go?
Yeah, can I ever go before we go to bed, Reuben?
Fine,
I guess so. I'm really tired. I really want to go to... Yeah, but you've been playing for 3 hours and I've just been sitting here watching, seething. It's fine.
Anyway.
I did play.
Fine.
I did play for like 10 minutes. Yeah. It was good play from what I remember.
I don't remember anything.
Ridiculous.
I was tired. I was ready for bed.
You were ready for bed. So, finished God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's something I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what to say about it because we finished it, and I thought before this, I was like, that's a new thing that we finished, and we both finished it. That'll be great to talk about. Don't know what to talk about.
Well, what is the game?
What is the game?
What do you do?
Okay, that's
in the game.
Good point. It's a sequel to the 2018 game God of War, which is a sequel to many sequels of the original 2002 game God of War. Where the main character is Kratos, a Spartan general, and he dies and kills his mother and daughter, and then he gets their ash burned onto his skin, so he's all white and pale, and he gets really angry at the gods for letting a bunch of people die or whatever, and essentially he becomes the God of War. He kills Ares, and he becomes a new God of War. I think that's the end of the first game. And then throughout the next games, he gets angrier and angrier at the Greek pantheon of gods and kills them all. He just runs around and kills a bunch of people. It's super violent. It's super like gratuitous. And when you think like, video games, there's violent things with blood everywhere, video games. Yeah, that's God of War.
Yeah.
In 2018, they did a really interesting thing. They kind of rebooted it. It's not a full like new thing, but it takes place after the original games where Kratos is older. You can tell that because he has a beard. And he doesn't seem to be in Greece anymore. He doesn't seem to be part of the, big Greek mythology thing. He's actually in the Norse mythology thing where there are Norse gods. So that's like Thor, Loki, Odin, all of those people. And it is a great game. It is critically acclaimed. It won the most Game of the Year awards that year. It is just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And in that game, Kratos, he has a son. The first part of the game, I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens immediately. His wife, who he's had his son with, his son's name is Atreus. She's passed away. And the first bit of the game is you burn her in like Greek, not Greek, like Norse way of like they don't
like
bury their dead.
pyre.
A funeral pyre. And the goal of that game is to scatter her ashes.
Yeah.
That's the goal. You're given the goal of go to the top of the highest mountain in all of the realms and scatter the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really emotional, it's a big change from the originals while still keeping like the combat really like tactile and fun to use, but it's a lot more emotional. You have a lot more care for the characters and what's going on. And I love that game.
Yes.
Mainly because of that. And so yeah, it's a big like father-son sort of story throughout the whole game. And so this one is God of War Ragnarok. It takes place after the last one, and at the end of the last one, Ragnarok kind of starts. So Ragnarok is the big world-ending event at the end of Greek mythology. Oh, I keep
Norse
saying
mythology,
Greek. Yeah, Norse mythology, where the like Asgard falls, people die.
Yes.
It's terrible. And that starts at the end of the last one. So this one takes place as Ragnarok is sort of ramping up and happening.
It's winter, and everything physically looks different. I was gonna say feels different. It behaves more or less the same. But it does definitely create its own atmosphere.
Yeah. So while the last one was pretty lush, Ragnarok is like winter has fallen everywhere across, and it's affected like all of the 9 realms differently.
Yeah.
So there are some realms that are more like fiery or I don't know, foresty or like a wasteland kind of thing. And those realms, a lot of them you visit in the last game. And in this game, you get to visit them again. But yeah, they've been changed. Yeah. So it's more or less kind of the same game as the last one. I found.
You had if I can preempt maybe where you're going, you had a slight criticism that it felt just a little less cohesive because it had taken the same gameplay and ideas and just made it bigger and maybe didn't have the same sense of forward momentum that spreading the ashes on top of the mountain had. Does that, now we've finished, does that kind of hold true for you as well?
It does. Yeah. And it does. I do feel like it doesn't feel as concise as the first game. The first game, you have that singular goal of go to the highest mountain in all the realms and scatter your wife's ashes.
Yeah.
It's pretty like you have one thing. So no matter what you're doing, you're always like, my ultimate goal is to do this.
Yeah.
In this game, Ragnarok, there's a lot of stuff going on.
What's your ultimate goal?
Yeah. Stop Ragnarok, start Ragnarok, kill everyone, don't kill everyone.
Yeah, all of the above at different times.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you do have a lot of different goals. There are also a lot of different characters, and you have a lot of different relationships to those characters. Relationships that change. In the first game, you have very few characters, and your relationship does change with them, but it's like you have like a handful of characters, if not less than a handful of characters.
I think once I said like Jett, I reckon I could count the characters from the first game on one hand, and it did take me 2. But there were fewer than 10 characters.
Yeah. So really you do have investment of, here's a character that I like. No, our relationship with them is going badly. Like there's these things happening that's making it rougher. Or like making you have a stronger relationship with that character. But there are a lot of characters. There were characters where I was like, I don't know who this is. Have they been brought in? Like, have I seen them before?
Like who?
Like, Freyr, for example.
Okay, yep.
Freya's brother, who isn't in the first game, in the second game. Like, he's a funny character, I guess. Could be voiced by Troy Baker. We don't know.
Could be.
But is like, don't have a great relationship. Like, don't have any sort of relationship between Kratos and him at all.
Yeah.
And those characters don't. Because those characters don't have a relationship, you kind of don't have a relationship with him. Same with some other characters from Vanaheim.
Yes.
Like, there's that other one,
Hildisvini?
Oh, yeah, but that's...
you're not thinking of that one.
No. I was thinking of that character, but I realized I was like, Hildisvini, I've heard that. That's
where you heard
it. That's the, like, the boar from the first game.
Oh!
Who I already forgot. There's a boar from the first game who magically turns into an actual person in this game, and that's... Like
I forgot that happened. Yeah.
So I recognize that game. I associate it more
with
that name with the boar from the first game
than you do with the real character from the. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The combat was great. Like everything about the gameplay was great, if not better. Like a lot of
I hated the puzzles.
What puzzles?
All of them.
Name a puzzle. Oh,
the one where I had to freeze a thing and then wind a thing down and then put a sigil arrow on it.
That's the same as the first game. You just hate puzzles.
Yeah, but like
you've said to me, I hate puzzles.
It's true. But just that, yeah, it's just more of everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. They introduced a new weapon, a spear, in this game.
That was fantastic.
Okay, I felt like it didn't feel great to use all the time.
True, it was my favorite.
It felt really jarring. I wanted it to feel more fluid like the other
ones.
The
melee hits didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But it gave Kratos access to a new kind of projectile that like flies straight, which when you're trying to do some things like hit those irritating ravens is like fantastic.
Yeah, Odin's ravens. Yeah, that's true.
Or just like throw straight at a boss. Yeah, I loved the spear and the way like all the weapons in God of War are massively, they hold this narrative weight. And I thought to bring that in as late as it comes in, they did a good job of kind of integrating that and giving it a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
I thought the implementation was good. I just mean like how it, like for me, how it actually felt to press those buttons and attack enemies with it. It just didn't feel as good as the Axe did, which was a new game from 2018 God of War, which felt incredible.
Yeah. So you're saying for you the spear is the exception? Because what the point you're broadly making is
it does
great, feel good,
but the new thing that they added didn't feel as good.
Interesting. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Something that I do think is really interesting about the game. So yeah, a lot of the story didn't grab me as much as the first one did. One thing that did, but I don't think it went fully into it. It was just sort of like a motif that was brought through throughout the game. Was the different parenting types that you see. So a big thing about the first game, it is Kratos learning to parent a child. So you have Kratos doing that. You also have sort of a juxtaposition between Kratos and his learning to parent and learning to love against one of the main sort of like friend enemies you have in the first game, Freya, and her son Balder, her having a over-loving relationship with her child and learning to pull back that love and let go. So yeah, you have Kratos needing to bring in and her needing to let go. So something that I liked in this is it sort of expands that. We see Thor, and he's a parent. He has a daughter, and he is an alcoholic. And he has people around him who love him, but he doesn't have a lot of self-worth, and he has a very sort of distant kind of parenting style, a very like simplistic, doesn't have much depth to it. So I don't know, like you have that, and then you also have his father Odin and his very controlling parenting style of belittling his children so that they have no self-worth.
He's also a father, and he takes it in a, he's also the patriarch, literally of Asgard and literally Odin of the Nine Realms, and that's part of his like kind of power complex almost. And
he definitely has like a power complex.
Yeah, I can't say any more without spoiling some really significant moments, but that plays out in an interesting way.
Yeah, so I like that they took that parenting thing that God of War was about and expanded it with God of War Ragnarok and have more different parenting dynamics, as well as like doubling on top of itself with parents upon parents.
Yes. There's one more I guess significant kind of development between the first and the second game too. It's somewhat of a spoiler. It felt significant to us. I don't know if you want to mention it here. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Just it's in regards to there was two of us playing as Kratos.
Wait, I still have no clue.
I think I might just say it.
Okay, yeah.
We always have kind of the edit, but spoiler warning for God of War Ragnarok coming in here. You also play as Atreus in this game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we were already complicating kind of... Video games are designed to make you connect usually with one clear protagonist. And so this game kind of split that a little bit, but then we were also splitting that further, so there was almost like 4 different relationships we had to forge, all of them in less time and weirdly paced.
Yeah, so not only
I wonder how much
going
that
between
affected
two main characters that you're playing as, where in the first game, you're Kratos, you're always with Atreus. Atreus is your side character. In this game, you have Kratos and Atreus you play as, and at any given time, depending on the mission, you will have different side characters with you. You might be Atreus and you might be Kratos and you have Atreus, you might be Atreus and you have Sindri or Brock, you might be Kratos and you have Brock.
Or Freya.
Or other one, like you have, or like Atreus and, what's her name?
Oh,
Angrboda.
Yes.
Who was a cool addition to this. She also has an interesting dynamic with her mother. There is a lot of parental stuff in this.
Yes. I think it's technically a grandmother, but it's the same dynamic thing.
So that was, I don't know, that's something that I did like about it, and I can't wait to sort of dive in again because we played it together and we split it up. I am looking forward to playing it all myself so that I can sort of have that sort of, I don't know, instead of jumping between being in it physically and watching it.
Oh, let me just do the dishes over here. Yeah, it's hard
making
not
food,
to do
doing
that.
dishes. Yeah.
I also had a really interesting experience with this because in between playing the God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, that 2018 God of War was probably my first like AAA video game that I can really think of. It was your first like
third-person adventure.
Definitely.
Big thing.
Yeah. And in the time in between, I've played not heaps, but what felt like a fair chunk of games. So
no, you have. That was sort of like the start of your video game journey that I was kind of
curating for me, which is great.
You're gonna. Well, technically, it technically started with Spider-Man, I think.
Yes.
Because I was like, this is you like superhero stuff. Let's go for that. But then I was like, oh, there's really good storytelling in this. This is like a really good one.
And I finished God of War first, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. But so I guess for me personally, that was like, oh my god, look what video games can be. And then the second one was like, I've seen this, I know that. And it wasn't bad or boring, but definitely the different context I was coming into it from.
Yeah.
Just the kind of expectation versus experience thing. I do think I had a harder time with this one.
With this one, I do wonder if the change in director, like there were, so with 2018, the director was Cory Barlog, and he had to push so hard to get God of War 2018 out.
Yes.
It was a massive change from the God of War franchise. It was a huge step to like have it be a story character focused, love focused for God of War, the game where you play as an angry Spartan who slices monsters and humans in half. Like it was to say, no, we're going to have him taking his wife's ashes, walking up a mountain and scattering them with his son.
Yeah.
Like big change. And there was so much pushback. He had to work so hard to get that game to work. Also, there were so many extra hurdles, because he wanted to make it perfect, like both games, but the first game in particular was one shot. Like the whole game is one shot. The camera does not cut. So that was a push to get that done. He wanted to make something like crafted and really make it perfect. I wonder if that changed this second one, because he did not direct this second one. Someone else from Santa Monica Studios did.
That's right.
He helped write it, he helped produce it, but he didn't direct it. So in my mind, it kind of feels like a sequel to the first one, made by committee, not made by the creator.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's like, okay, this first one was crafted, and now the studio's making a sequel, so we're doing the stuff that the first one did and finishing up the story.
It definitely feels like there were some decisions made almost by default.
Yeah. Made by committee is not the right way to put it, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's like, oh, we had this in the first one, we have to do it in the second one. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I miss Cory Barlog's sort of little spark in this one. Yeah. I will say though, something that I've heard from other people talking about it is that the great part of this game is the side missions and how that
I have heard that as well.
Sort of makes this one thing a whole.
Yes.
It makes the game a lot longer, but it makes this one game like a whole story.
I've heard similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't play any side missions. No.
Yeah, one or two here and there.
Because we had very few times where we
wanted to finish the game while we were both
it took us ages to start it and then start it again. And we're like, oh shoot, we have this one afternoon. Okay, let's play it together. So yeah, we sort of forgo those side missions, but that's another thing. I'm looking forward to going back and playing it more holistically.
That's interesting because I think I'm mostly done, which is kind of sad to say.
Yesterday, you were playing a different video game that you haven't finished, and then you quit it to go back into God of War. And I said, what are you doing? Why aren't you finishing this other game? And you said, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Ridiculous.
Maybe I'm not.
Look, I'm just saying your actions aren't lining up with your words.
To be continued.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Is it going to be in your...
Yeah, I finished it. I 100%ed it, I guess. The way to do that.
Yeah, so that's God of War Ragnarok.
I feel like we were quite negative there.
Yeah.
But that's also because we loved the first game, I think, has a lot to do with it.
The first one's great. I really love the first one. I would recommend it on the scale of like recommending The Last of Us. Like,
huge from Jett.
Yeah, very big from me. Like for people who haven't played games, I look to, when I recommend games to play, I look to games with great storytelling. Yeah. And that for me has been The Last of Us and God of War. So yeah, I like it's a really high bar to reach.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Anyway, what have you finished?
What
recently?
have I finished? Yeah, great.
Not recently.
Last night. Hot off the press.
Okay.
Or the night before? No, yeah. Last night, I went to a performance.
Yep.
I went to a high school performance. Of the Addams Family musical.
Okay.
So this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Jett, what do you know about the Addams Family?
Very little.
I knew nothing.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen the Addams Family. Yep. I know that there's maybe a hand that is just like a hand on its own that moves around or something.
That makes so much sense.
Oh, really?
They incorporated that really well.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know the hand was an existing element of Addams Family at all.
I know that
was really clever.
I know that there's Wednesday Addams, obviously.
Correct.
Because of the Wednesday show with Jenna Ortega.
Yep.
I don't know much else at all. Yeah.
So this universe is wild.
It's like a monster universe, right?
It's just whatever goes, as far as I can tell. I mean, so there's so many things going on here. This was a comic, then it was a TV show, then it started in 1938 as a comic in newspapers.
Oh my god!
So that tells you kind of everything you need to know about how weird it's going to be. But yeah, so the lore is
Wednesday is the only good comic book show out right now.
Interesting. I feel like
name another comic book show
that's currently like coming out, or just that.
I'm just thinking of like the Disney Marvel stuff. And like Wednesday is probably better than
probably has more.
Just the idea that Wednesday is a comic book show. I
see.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay,
so
comic
bizarre
show,
comic show
movie.
Doodle-doo-doom, 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 doodle-doo-doom.
Stalling for time.
Stalling for time. Stalling for time. Stalling for time.
Great.
Wow.
We should call this Stalling for Time. No,
it's tempting. Yeah, it's tempting. It's really tempting.
I do like Stinished It. Sorry, I keep derailing you.
So they have Spanish ancestry. The accents that they are speaking with are Spanish.
Yes.
The aesthetic is like...
Is it Spanish or is it like Mexico Spanish?
Great question. They're not in Mexico, and their ancestors, who was specifically addressed in a speech from the dad, come from Spain.
Oh, okay. Yep.
They've been in the Americas for a long time.
Yeah.
So it will have changed, but I don't think it's like Mexican Spanish or Brazilian Spanish or Portuguese or anything like that.
Okay.
I think it's Spanish.
Okay.
But they speak in English. the aesthetic is like gothic Transylvanian. Like they're basically vampires. Their butler is a zombie. And then they live in Central Park. So I had no idea what was going on the whole time.
Yeah.
Also, it was a school I'd never been to before in a suburb I don't know well.
Yeah, that's weird.
I sat down in between two strangers. I was there with friends, but we hadn't been able to book tickets together.
Oh, yeah.
One of them just immediately starts chatting to me about like, hey, I know like this person and this person's friend. And I'm like,
oh, wait,
great.
one of the people you sat beside?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like,
I thought you meant one of your friends.
I don't know anyone at this school, so that's nice. But then we managed to have a conversation.
Oh, that's good.
Just like from the minute I walked in the door,
like someone in the...
I knew someone in the show who had done some choreography.
Oh,
and then they'd mentioned that they were in it, and they played Wednesday Addams.
Oh,
they're on the front cover of the. No, it wasn't. That's very good.
Thank you.
They were on the front cover of the program. They were on like the sign outside the school.
Yes. Wow.
Wild.
Such
fun.
That's so.
They were fantastic.
So
I mean, everyone was fantastic. It was just delightful. It's long. Like musicals tend to be long. It was like 3 hours with the intermission.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So as much as I want to know how good it was, like how the experience was, what is the Addams Family? Like what?
Okay, like what's the plot of the?
Yeah, what was the plot of the thing?
Have you seen?
Doubtful.
No, you have because we watched it together. Have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah, because we've seen it together. Why would you ask me?
It's that.
Oh.
I was setting up for that joke. Surprisingly, actually, for a Jewish high school, surprisingly raunchy.
Really?
This musical. Very amusing. More in the sense of like a normal family wander into a baffling mansion filled with weirdos.
Right, okay.
The twist that...
the Addams Family aren't the main characters?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
And you meet them first, and only then do you kind of meet the other family. And it's very funny. There's a lot of funniness, and a lot of the comedy is in the juxtaposition between. Like, rather than appreciating like life and safety, the Addams Family kind of like, they like death, and when the mum like comforts the son to get him to go to sleep, she's like, don't worry, there is a monster under the bed. You probably just can't see it yet. You know? It's great, and that lore was really fun. I guess the reason the Addams Family, where it differs from that kind of Rocky Horror, would be the fact that each family has a kid and they're in love. So Wednesday Addams,
a meet cute,
and this other kid, this very stereotypical kind of white football guy from school, want to get married,
right?
And that's the central tension of the thing. They're keeping it secret from the mum, Morticia, and the dad kind of gets in on that, but feels bad about keeping the secret, and he's torn between his wife and his daughter, and so that's the plot.
Yeah, right.
Like that's what happens. Yeah.
Is that? Do you know if that's the same plot as like the show or the?
No clue.
Oh, okay.
Zero clue. I suspect not.
I feel like it's different to Wednesday. I feel like Wednesday has gone into like my only
like a boarding school in that. I feel.
Yeah, my only like reference point for this is a show I haven't seen.
Oh yeah,
but it's just recent enough that it's like still in. like the tram posters are still in my memory.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, it was great. It was just really enjoyable. Yeah. Loved it.
That's great.
And now I'm like, am I obligated to dive deeper into the Addams Family universe now?
I don't think you're obligated
or do I
to
just
do anything.
Leave it here and never look at this again?
That's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun.
Like, I've only seen the Legally Blonde musical and only
haven't
high
watched
school
like the
versions
movie
of
musical.
it. Yeah. So, like, and that's one of my favorite musicals. Favorite stories, like favorite musicals. Like I love it. It's so good. Have not seen the movie.
Yep.
Have not. I think that's a sequel to the movie. Have not seen that. It's based on a book.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book.
I'm not planning on any of that.
No, not really.
Yeah,
I just love.
I
kind of
like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
So like, you could do the same thing with Addams Family, I guess. Yeah.
There's one more twist to this, which will appeal to possibly you and you exclusively.
Oh.
Which is that the kid who played that kind of love interest.
Oh, Jenna Ortega.
No.
Oh.
But I like that you're bringing that joke back.
Thank you.
It's in that dip where it's less funny.
Yeah.
And it's about to get more funny again.
Funny.
So we'll keep that one in the back of our heads. Played young Harry Potter in The Cursed Child.
Oh, what?
There you go. Oh. There you go.
Like the Harry, yeah, like the one, like the when we saw it?
Presumably, yes.
Presumably,
yes.
Huh.
Although, it's not relevant, but they've condensed The Cursed Child into one night.
Yeah. I kind of want to go see it.
Interesting.
Just because I want to know, it's exactly what they...
Then you're giving money to J.K. Rowling.
I know, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. But they, because it was two things, and then they condensed it into one, and then rewrote some, it's like, ooh,
maybe it's better now.
Yeah, maybe it's better now.
Maybe they fit all of the cool magic into less time and less bad story. That would be ideal. Anyway.
Yeah, didn't do that.
Slightly off topic, but yeah.
So that kid was just like, is this like a musically, like, is this an art school or is it?
No. They seem to have a strong program. I know that the director of this production, it was his first year, but it didn't feel amateurish or anything. But no, it's not a performing arts specialist school. It's yeah.
Just happened to have Harry Potter.
Just happened to have literal Harry Potter.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Jumped right off the page and said, the first thing I'm doing, straight out of the Harry Potter wizarding world,
Addams Family.
I'm going to be in the Addams Family. Yep. Yeah, great.
Yeah, so that's just a fun tidbit.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Who was the director?
Should have more to say.
Did you do that with it?
I've got the name here.
Is it Jenna Ortega?
No, there it is. There it is.
Thanks, thank you.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah. Totally enjoyable night.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. I'm so glad you had that experience. Yeah. Speaking of enjoyable experiences, there's a segue. There's an actual segue.
I would really enjoy it if our gimmick for this podcast becomes you trying to segue smoothly and me just derailing them. But I don't want to impose that either.
So I'll let this one slide through. You've already derailed it.
That's how you do it, baby. That's meta.
Ridiculous. Okay, so
speaking of whatever we were,
enjoyable experiences.
Oh, great.
I've got an enjoyable experience that I am looking forward to coming up.
Go on.
It's an album. It's an album. It's not.
Okay, great.
But yeah,
this is okay. This is really interesting.
It's not like it's not. I phrase that like it's something I have booked in. It's like, oh, I'm going to Japan for 7 weeks. I'm not. It's an album. It's kind of an album. So
it's kind of an album. Yeah. Go on.
Maybe I should just give tidbits that get you more and more excited, and then let down at the end. Because I don't think it's something that you're really interested in. It is Tyler, the creator.
Okay.
Is putting out a new album that's kind of a new album. It is called Call Me If You Get Lost.
Hang on a minute.
Okay, no, let me finish what I'm saying. It's called Call Me If You Get Lost.
Yes.
The estate sale.
Okay.
So what it is it's a bunch of songs from his work doing Call Me If You Get Lost that got cut from the album.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's a fun title. The estate sale. It's got Call Me If You Get Lost has a very specific vibe to it. So yeah, it's a bunch of songs that were cut off that are getting put onto a new album.
Do you think this is happening more recently with things like Taylor doing Taylor's version, or do you think this has always been?
I think this has always been a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think albums are just there are albums that are just B-side albums that are here are a bunch of songs that didn't make it.
Well, didn't Prince have a whole vault of
Prince
just
does have a vault.
Stuff? Yeah.
There's a bunch of documentaries. This is just okay, we're derailing.
Let's go.
There's a Kevin. Ooh, Kevin. Who's Kevin?
Costner. Feige.
No.
Rudd.
No. Yeah,
That's
Kevin
all I
Rudd.
got.
Jenna Ortega.
Yes.
Kevin Smith.
Right. Okay.
Do you know Kevin Smith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Kevin Smith. I don't know if he directed it. I think he directed. He directed a Prince documentary. Followed him around for a bunch of shows. Directed the whole, filmed it. There's a really funny story. I saw a thing about him talking about it. How he was filming one day, and one of the camera people said, "Hey, we're out of film." And he was like, oh, shoot. Well, we've got add more. Just keep rolling.
Yep.
Because Prince was playing this like long. He said he wasn't going to go on stage, and then they finally convinced him to go on stage. And then he was on there for like 4 hours.
Yeah, right.
And so they ran out of film.
Yep.
And Kevin Smith was like, get film from the other people. And they're like, no. We're all almost out of film. We've got no more here. So he was like, should I just pretend to keep rolling? And Kevin Smith was like, yeah, let's just pretend to keep rolling.
Oh my God.
So Prince would look over at him every once in a while. He'd just give thumbs up and be like, yeah, you're doing good. Oh, yep, you're framed up just right. Like, good job, keep going. It's going great. From behind the camera. Wasn't filming Prince at all. And then like filmed it, edited it, sent it off, and like got in contact with Prince's people and was like, hey, when's this gonna, like, when am I gonna see this? When's it gonna get released? And they responded, oh, who knows? It's going in Prince's vault, so
never.
you're probably not gonna see it for a while. Can't really give you a date.
Yep.
And he was like, well, what does he do with it? I don't know. He just puts it in his vault. So yeah, he has a bunch of stuff that's just like in his vault. Don't know if, I don't think all of it's come out, or if any of it's come out. Like,
there's a fascinating episode of the This American Life podcast, where the guy who opened the vault after he died tells the story.
Oh, really?
Of opening the vault. Yeah, that's you don't initially know that, and the reveal is part of the fun, but it's also just a fascinating, like, how does that actually work? How do you, so
that's cool.
Yeah, I was under the impression that we hadn't like heard any of it, but I'm really not across it.
Yeah. No, so back to Call Me If You Get Lost, the estate sale. It's a bunch of songs. From the Call Me If You Get Lost album, which is my favorite Tyler album, and one of my favorite albums, probably my favorite album for the past, like, since it came out. It came out in 2021. It is phenomenal. It's such an easy listen, and on a sunny day, like, I skateboard to the park often. It's my favorite thing on a sunny day, putting my headphones in, playing that, and skating down the street. It's just, it's awesome. So good. It's really, really good.
I love your bold use of the word favorite on this episode. Keep that coming.
Okay. Well, I might reel it back now that you mentioned it. So yeah, it's my favorite album, at least of 2021. It's really exciting to hear more stuff in this style, because it is my favorite of his styles. Like, Ego was great. I didn't really listen before that. I've gone back and listened to what's the big one that he originally put out? Not originally, but stolen for time. Stolen for time. Stolen for time. Goblin.
Fantastic.
Goblin. I really like that album. That's more like grungy start of his thing. He's saying some pretty outlandish, like, new young person on the scene in hip hop kind of things. Call Me If You Get Lost is my favorite of his sort of like vibes. And so he's putting out the Estate Sale album, and we found this out a couple of days ago because he put out a single from that called Dogtooth.
Yep.
This is insane for a pretty, like, one reason mainly. Yep. I don't know how much you know about, like, hip hop.
Very little.
Okay. Do you know about Frank Ocean?
No.
Have you heard it? Really? Okay.
I heard the name, that's it.
Okay. Frank Ocean is a R&B hip hop artist. Has 2 albums out, like, on Spotify, has put out other music, has put out singles, put out this album Blonde in 2016, and it is considered one of the best sort of R&B hip hop albums ever. It is absolutely phenomenal, and since then he has been quiet. He's 7 years. Yeah, he's showed up on a couple of songs from other artists. I think the last thing he was a part of was A$AP Rocky's Testing album. I think he featured on one of those songs. But he's been, like, out of music for so long, and that was 2017, I think, A$AP Rocky's album. So it's been like 5-6 years. And people were like, when's Frank Ocean coming back? When's he dropping new music? He's had a like a jewelry brand or a clothing brand for like a fashion label for a while, and he's been focusing on that. But on Dogtooth, so we have Tyler driving around a car for a bit, and there is a bit where Tyler's in the foreground. It's sort of like in the docks of a city, like where they have big shipping containers and stuff. Tyler's in the foreground, but in the background you can see a car that's sort of like driving around in circles doing donuts and stuff. And that car is the same car from Frank Sinatra's first. Frank Sinatra, Jesus. Frank Ocean's.
That would be a surprise.
Frank Sinatra's back, everyone. What? Yeah. He's here with Jenna Ortega.
Oh my god.
Frank Ocean's first album, Ultra Nostalgia, or Nostalgia, Ultra. And you can hear background vocals of Frank Ocean. He has like 4 words across 4 of Tyler's lines.
Yeah, right.
It's barely anything, but it's clearly Frank Ocean's voice. So this was meant to be on Call Me If You Get Lost.
I was going to say, they did this before 2021.
2021. So it's just good to even... So people are so desperate for Frank Ocean that even these like 4 lines of barely anything, it's like, oh my God, he's back.
Wow.
Hopefully he's working on music and gonna put more stuff out. That would be ideal. But it just like, it hypes this estate sale album up so much more.
Yeah.
So there's that one, which is really good. And then just in the past day, he's released only a music video. There's been music videos for both of these. Dogtooth has come out on as a single. The album cover, which I think will be the same album cover for the estate sale, is actually the album cover for Call Me If You Get Lost on vinyl. So I have that on vinyl, which you can probably
I'm looking at it
see.
right now,
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. It's like this beautiful painting of Tyler, and he's got his suitcases and he's like off to, go travel. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. It looks different to the actual like album cover for the CD or on Spotify, which is sort of kind of like not a passport, like a driver's license kind of thing with Tyler's face, which is really nice as well. But yeah, for the estate sale, they're using the unused album cover.
Oh, great.
Because the one that's on the vinyl was like one that they were considering using.
So you're going to end up with 2 vinyls with the same cover if you get it?
I don't know if it comes out on vinyl. It depends if it comes out on vinyl.
Would you get it if it does?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But the second song that they just released in the past like 24 hours, it's called Sorry Not Sorry. And I already really like this. They Tyler put out a video for this. It's not on Spotify. It's not as a single yet. I don't know if that's because it's being, I don't know, like in the process of that.
Yeah.
Or if
or
it's
right like a
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be on there eventually. Like it'll be on the new album. But there's a music video for it, and it's really interesting. It's like a like sort of stage show kind of thing. You have like an audience, but it's mainly just this stage and the curtains open at the start of the music video, and it says like no recording or no cameras or something, like no photos. And then on stage it is Tyler in each of his sort of like personas from each of his albums. So in the center you have the Call Me If You Get Lost Tyler, then you have the one from Flower Boy and the one from Cherry Bomb, and like all of his different albums, because most of his albums have him on the front cover of the album, so it's like those outfits. So it's clearly like, oh, this is this era Tyler, this is this era Tyler. And so it goes through the song where he's talking about being sorry for things. And I don't know if there's any correlation between the things that he's sort of apologizing for with which Tyler is speaking this at any given time, but I'm sure there is. And he goes over like all this stuff that, he's sort of sorry for doing. He's like sorry for, there are some pretty like explicit stuff in the way that just like explicitly saying certain things, like he's like sorry for like the guys that I was with that I had to hide, that I hid from like having that relationship out in the open. Sorry for the women who I was with, for like whatever things that was. Sorry for this and that. There was an interesting one that was like sorry for not using the right pronouns, but we just met. Which is an interesting kind of thing because he does transition throughout this song. Like, it's called Sorry Not Sorry, and he goes from saying sorry for all these things, but also like, I'm not sorry for some of this stuff because it's like, sorry, I wasn't like, we were friends back then, but like we haven't been friends lately, but you only want to be friends with me right now because I have a lot of money and stature. So I'm not actually really sorry about not connecting.
I'm sorry
now.
that happened, but I don't blame myself.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry I'm not hanging out with you now because we were good friends back in the day, but you only want to be friends with me now. Because, so it's like, it's actually a really interesting song, and through the song, he gets sort of like more aggravated, and then it, like, you can see it on his face in the music video. And in the music video, he like starts sweating and like yelling and really going at it. In the end, it's like one of him, which I don't know if it's associated with an album yet, because it was like a new sort of new outfit, new hair that I hadn't seen, but also I haven't gone in depth into all of Tyler's stuff. But it's him beating up Call Me If You Get Lost Tyler. It might be him like during his first sort of like days doing small stuff, beating up the most recent one. I don't know. But it's just a really good music video. The lyrics in it are pretty, like, I want to go through it and like find out what they all mean. And it just really gets me hyped for this new The Estate Style album.
And when's that out?
No clue.
All right, but you know,
soon,
next month or so.
I think it's in the next month. Something really interesting is that I saw this on TikTok. Every Tyler the Creator album lines up with a movie release of Fast and the Furious, I think. I might be getting that wrong. It might be wrong. But it's like within 100 days, every single time, album and movie. And the most recent one happened at the same time. Really weird. But those just happen to line up. So it's whenever Fast X is coming out. It's within that. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to, like, getting into pretty soon.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
awesome.
are you looking forward to getting into?
Well, we have board game nights on Thursdays now.
We do.
We have always done a board game night with some level of regularity, but now we've discovered that we can go 2 blocks up to the board game shop and borrow all of theirs on a Thursday.
All of them. They have so many.
Not all of them, but a vast number of them.
We can take them all.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought, great.
It'll be you, me, and Jenna Ortega.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
We'll put on masks.
Yeah? What masks?
Rob the place.
Who are we going to... Oh, just like balaclavas.
No.
What
Costume
sort of
store?
masks? Yep.
We'll get Wednesday Addams masks.
Very good.
And we'll have someone that we can, like, who's our person of, I don't know what that's called. You know, like, you have a person in a thievery, like, that you have one person who's...
Like the hostage negotiator?
No, like the person who can get caught. They're your you know, your scapegoat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega's our scapegoat.
Very good.
Because her face is the same as Wednesday Addams.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. And I thought, well, we're going to this place where we can borrow all these games and don't have to bring our own.
Yeah, that's true.
So yesterday I went and bought a board game that
you
we
bought
could
a
take.
board game?
Yeah, so I thought that would be fun.
Oh my god. You didn't even tell me.
No, I didn't. I snuck it into the house.
Snuck it in.
Yeah, just because...
Oh my god. When did you buy it?
Yesterday.
Yeah, but like when? Like when during the day? You were here for the
middle of the day.
Oh, when I was gone.
When you were gone.
Oh, you took a time when
you
was
were gone.
gone.
Well, I thought you were going to be here, so I over-prepared my sneakiness, and then you just went...
You always over-prepare your sneakiness, I feel.
Yeah, that's true. You've never caught me once yet.
Yeah, that's true. You catch me constantly doing the sneaky things.
Do I?
Yeah, remember that time that I was putting cookies in a jar?
And I knew the cookies were in the jar the whole time. Although, to be fair, someone has snuck cookies into our cookie jar, and we both think it's not us.
Yeah. So originally I got cookies.
Yes.
I had a jar. There was nothing in the jar for a while, and then I put cookies in the jar and was just sneakily eating them. Mm-hmm. So if Reuben was cooking dinner, I would go and grab a cookie and just start eating it while talking to Reuben. And I was hoping that Reuben would be like, "Where the fuck are these cookies coming from?" Turns out Reuben...
I knew they were there the whole time. I wasn't eating them because I was under the impression they were like Jett's cookies and I hadn't asked.
Yeah.
So That was interesting when that came out.
But yeah, now there are cookies in our cookie jar.
Now it's a real mystery.
I don't know where they've gone. I
think you bought them.
I think I bought them,
they're Jett's
but I
cookies
don't
again.
remember it. So I'm gonna say it could be someone else.
It could be someone else.
It could be Jenna Ortega.
It's a better story if it's Jenna Ortega. No, see, we're in the dip again.
Yeah, we're going into the second dip.
But it's going to get funnier again.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or not. We'll see. It depends how long's left in the podcast. Yes. So, board game. I got a board game. It's a game that feels like Game of Thrones, but doesn't have the IP because probably they couldn't get it.
Okay, what's the... Is it Game of...
Nope. It's called A War of Whispers. You open up the box, and there's 5 armies, and you think, great, we're going to pick like one of these each for the number of players. Yeah, but no.
It's not
That's
Scythe.
the trick. No, so
thank goodness. I can't wait for a game that's not Scythe.
Fantastic. You control like a secret little cult, and you can basically choose which empires you want a little stake in.
Ooh.
And so... And
like religion.
Yeah, exactly like that. They're little cults.
Great.
And you have... For each of the 5, you have someone who you want to do the best, someone who you want to do the second best, someone who you want to do just okay, someone who you are neutral on, and someone who you want to lose. You do well if they lose.
Within your cult or within the...
No, so
the
that's
kingdom?
the 5 different kingdoms, yeah. And so you and I might have some in a similar position. You might want yellow to come first, and I might want them to come second, and so we're going to work together. But if you're making the yellows fight the blues, who I need to come first, then maybe I'm going to be less likely... And all of that is secret info.
Right. Do we talk... Oh, so it's all secret. You don't talk to each other about it.
There's nothing stopping you from talking about it, except the other players at the table.
How many players?
2 to 4. 2 to 4.
2 to 4. Oh, sorry. Goose, our cat, just did a very
cute.
She's just lying on her back.
I think she wants
rolling
attention.
on the ground. She looks like she wants attention.
I'll give you attention. We'll give you attention in a second, Goose.
There you go, scratch.
Cat time.
Scratch.
Stalling for cat.
Stalling for cat. Stalling for cat. Stalling for cat time.
I don't think that was anything. I really regret starting that. I think that's the pitch, really. Yeah.
Sounds really good. Wait, so how many players?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. Great. Cool. Yeah, that was all my questions.
Yeah.
How long does it take to play?
It's short.
Oh, that was...
It's short. It's an hour. I reckon it'll take us longer. I think
an hour?
I think it'll take us 90 minutes.
I don't think that's short.
Really?
I like 20-minute games. Like, 15 minutes is good.
Interesting.
Like, kind of like a Zool or something like that.
I reckon that took us longer than you think it did.
No, I think that's because you took ages trying to figure out where you want to put
who else are you going to be playing these games with?
I play Azul with my partner all the time.
Great.
And we're very quick at the
finishing,
game.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe that's why you lose all the time.
I don't lose all the time. I win all the time.
To be fair, it's 50-50 between you and me. And the first one of those was my first ever game.
Yeah, and the second one of them was your second ever game. So it's going easy.
Interesting.
You won by a lot.
I won.
By a lot.
Because I took the time to think.
Yeah.
Anyway, more of this feud later.
Yeah.
We'll give you an update next week.
How we go with Azul or War of the Whispers?
Oh, all of it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
We can keep a tally of who's won what games. Yeah. I'm not going to do that.
We
that
already
sounds like
have
a lot of work.
Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, we have our Scoppa Italian card game.
That too.
tally.
Yes, we have.
We have another one.
Yeah.
Do we have a secret tally?
Yes, I've told you about this.
Oh, you've
This
told
is
me
your
about the
exact
secret
response
tally?
last time. Yeah.
What's the secret tally?
It's just a log of the board games I played and what we scored when I can remember.
Oh no, the cat's on the table. The
That's
cat's
all right.
gonna knock.
Honestly,
the cat's
I think
gonna knock things.
I think Goose should just join us for the outro.
What do you think she'll say?
Real funk.
Let's try. Goose, come here.
There's
Goose,
the
come here. What do you want to say to everyone, Goose? Goose? What do you want to say? What was that? I don't think it's picking her up.
I don't think it is.
Come on, right into the microphone.
Well, I heard it. I don't know if it'll come through. Yeah.
She doesn't want to join the podcast.
That's okay.
Goose, do you have anything you've started or finished or are looking forward to starting soon?
Goose has started wearing a harness and going outside.
Oh, that's true. Well, she's very scared.
Very
Anytime I
scared.
take her out of the apartment, she freezes up.
100%.
She needs to get used to it. I think she's looking forward to starting food soon because it's probably near about the time that she'll start asking for dinner.
Yes, and I should start cooking our dinner relatively soon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been a good first.
This is fantastic.
This has been really good.
I'm really glad that this is the first time we've ever done this, and we definitely didn't record an hour last week.
No,
that we're never going to touch.
an hour.
So I'm really glad that this is like
terrible.
I'm really glad we nailed it first try.
Oh yeah, no, we did perfectly. We had the best riffs, General Ortega or whatever.
Just that one, but it was good.
That one.
just that one riff. And we had Stalling for Time.
I
feel like that was arguably
good.
our best riff.
I think it was you came up with that one. I came up with the General Ortega one, and I'm pretty sad about that.
Did I come up with that? We literally have it on.
We have it on recording. Yeah. I'm not listening to this over. This is going straight to the recycling
straight
bin.
on. Oh, great. Like onto USB and then all into the recycling bin? Or just...
No, just the recycling bin on my computer.
Oh, I genuinely didn't know what you meant.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't a joke. I just forgot that was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is going straight in the bin.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a podcast with you.
Oh,
yeah.
disgusting. Ugh.
Disgusting.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right, see you next week, right?
Yeah.
Same time, same
time, same place.
Same time,
hopefully
same place.
less.
That can be our outro. That'll be a unique outro that no one's ever done.
No one's ever done.
Listen back next week.
Listen back next week.
Same place.
No. Make it even more general. Because
Okay.
no one's ever done that. See you next time.
God damn it. Oh, God. That was terrible.
Anyway, if you're still listening, we've
rate us 5 stars on a thing.
Yeah.
If you can.
Are we on a thing?
I don't know.
We'll be somewhere.
We'll be somewhere. Wherever you're listening to this.
We'll be on Google Drive.
Find a way to do 5 stars.
Yes.
Whether that be commenting,
Yep.
whether that be writing it on a piece of paper and then holding it up to wherever you're playing this from and taking a photo of it and sending it to us.
Text us.
Knock
Knock on our door. Oh, you don't.
We've had a lot of disruptions in this podcast right now.
That's a great point.
Because we've had construction workers beeping outside this whole time that we've had to cut around. If we're recording this and someone starts knocking on our door, I'm afraid that both of us will murder them.
Knock on our door on a Friday to Tuesday. How's
we're
that
recording
sound?
this. Oh wait, this is Thursday. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Just 5 stars on a Friday to Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. And as we say...
No, I feel like we should keep it rolling now.
Okay, well, there's more construction happening.
You can hear that.
Yeah,
listeners.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Well, as we say, always, every single time we do a podcast. Yeah,
General Ortega's,
next stolen.